Boom! All right. Hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I am your host, John Harris, and on my right-hand side is my right-hand man, Gabriel.
What up?
And today on the Rock Metal Podcast is a special episode, a unique episode, the first ever in its kind. Lindsay, this is so embarrassing. I was so confident up to this point. Lindsay, how do I say your last name? Is it Manfredi?
It's Manfredi.
Manfredi. Perfect. Yep. You say it so much better than I did. We have Lindsay Manfredi on the show today, who has a new book called Unfuckwithable. Is that how I say it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. A guide to inspired badassery, which I believe is a word that you've invented, and I appreciate it. And it was published by Rose Gold Publishing, LLC. And right now I'm being joined by Lindsay. And the cool thing, Lindsay, is this is the first time we've ever chatted about a book, but I love personal development. I love hearing people's success stories, and I love your work, both on the base and on the book. And I was super excited when I got the email that you could come onto the show, and I thought, well, hopefully she wants to come on, and then, well, here you are. So speaking of dream jobs and dreams coming true, thank you for coming on to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, I guess just kind of like as a blanket question to start off with, in the middle of being in, a big touring band, when did you have time to write a book? And I guess, you had an inspiring story. I don't mean to downplay it by saying, okay, well, so what? Like, why write a book?
Well, there's a question I get often. Well, I have a lot of great things that have happened to me throughout my life, and by trusting the universe. And I had gone through a pretty nasty breakup, and I was in Indiana, and we were just kind of in between writing the album, and we just had some time. There were some delays, and I wanted to come home and spend some time with my daughter because I just needed to get out of this horribly abusive relationship. And I was reading all these books and kind of trying to find myself again, because when you're in a situation like that, you tend to lose who you are, and you lose your power because you give it away. And I started regaining a sense of who I was, and I was meditating, and I was reading all these books by Dr. Wayne Dyer and Eckhart Tolle and lots of people. I don't know. My mom's doorbell just rung, and I don't have any idea. I'm not even going to answer it. So anyway.
That's the parcel she's waiting for.
Yeah, I don't know. They can leave it at the door. I have no idea. Okay, so that was going on, and so I just decided to write because writing has always been therapeutic to me. I've always been a writer, whether it's writing stories or whether it's music, or I need to write all the time because I'm an artist. So I had some things to say, and I had to, it was like therapy for me. I had to get to the point where I was unfuckwithable because a lot of things were going down. And then I had all this great I was working with my favorite artist of all time, and it was just kind of an incredible journey, and I just had to trust the universe. So that's why I wrote it. I had some things, and I wanted everybody to get to the point where it's like, oh wait, I can take matters into my own hands. Like, I am the god of my own life, and I have the choices. I make choices. So, here it is.
Perfect. Now, something that you kind of mentioned in the beginning there was, obviously you're looking to find yourself again and losing power because you give it away. And that kind of brings me to one of my first questions, which is, in the very beginning, you give the definition for Unfuckwithable that people can't F with you kind of thing. And then on the next page, you said something about protecting getting out of your own way. So I guess my question is, in the process of this whole meditative journey that you went through, did you come to terms with whether you were actually working on protecting yourself from the outside world or protecting the outside world from you? Like, where were you in that continuum between this is all me and this is them? Like, does that question make sense?
It does make sense. So I was protecting myself from what people were saying and just the bullshit. Because, like I said, when you're in an abusive relationship, that person kind of tries to bring you down and squash you as small as you possibly can, so you don't go anywhere, or you're too afraid to leave, or whatever reasons narcissistic assholes and abusive motherfuckers do that to women or men, whatever. It's horrible. So I had to get to the point where I was like, you know what? I am strong and I am capable, and I had to get out of my own way, essentially, and also protect myself from, negativity, because people are negative all the time. I mean, it's just like when I was doing the book, my dad was like, why are you going to put fuck in the title? He's like, that's going to totally narrow the people that you're selling to. And I was like, well, those aren't the people who aren't going to buy my book. Like, I don't care. Like, this is what I feel this is what I'm called to do. Like, this is how it should be. And I had originally, and I've talked about this on other shows, I had originally had fuck spelled backwards. So it was KCUF. And then when I was like shopping it to agents, they were like, is this called Unfuckwithable? And like, nobody was getting it. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to have it straight up Unfuckwithable. And
I would say that's genius, but if nobody's getting it, then that kind of tells you that, want. You were trying to be your authentic self and people weren't getting it. And you're like, you know what? I don't need you.
I don't need you. And yeah, I don't need your agency. You are not the person for me. And it's perfect because, Rose Gold had reached out to me and they were like, send us a copy of the manuscript. And literally within 24 hours, I signed a deal with them without an agent. So I was like, perfect.
Wow. That kind of really quick, maybe side tangent question is, was this something that was easy for you to do because you're in the music industry, that you just kind of knew what the process would be to get your book out onto the store shelves, or, to get it through a publishing company? Or was that a bit of a struggle within itself?
Oh, that was a huge struggle. Well, first off, I research everything because I'm a writer anyway. So I did the whole process. I wrote the query letter. I had the proposal completely together, beautiful, with like book comparisons and, manuscript ready, and had everything on point. And I swear to God, I sent it to probably 50 agents, and I have a book decline folder in my email. I just kept getting declined. Everyone was like, nope, this is a great idea, but I'm not going to represent it. It's not for us, whatever. So I was like, okay, after the tour was done in November of 2019, I had all this time. So my girlfriend and I did my business partner and I did the candle collection for Cold, and we started just selling candles and doing candles. And then I was supposed to go on tour, but I got the book. Like, I was just like, I'm going to self-publish it. Since nobody's going to publish it, I'll just do it myself. And I was looking for an editor, and that's kind of, Facebook led me to this thing called The Secret Group from my friend Chris Brogan. Had started it years and years ago. And it's just a bunch of business people and authors and all kinds of people. And I was like, hey, I need an editor. And that's when Rose Gold was like, hey, they hit me up and they were like, okay, tell us about your book. And I sent it. So it was just going to self-publish it. Like, that was my intention. But then, the universe, God, something outside force kind of swooped in and said, oh, well, here you go. This is your person. None of those other people were. And I wasn't even ready, I don't think. Like, even though the book was 4 years in the making, and I've been writing it and adding to it and taking it away, or taking things away from it for 3 to 4 years, this was the time. And it's obvious now why. Like, when you look back and you're like, oh, now, yeah, this makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, something you mentioned was that you've got an email folder that is just declined emails. And I guess my big question is, because you had gone through this time to become a total badass, Unfuckwithable, was this a test? Did you approach it as a test? How did you approach all of that rejection when you're coming out and saying, here is my authentic self world, here it is?
Well, I cried. When I was doing this process, I was actually living at Scooters in Temecula, California. And yeah, he saw me lose my shit a couple of times, because it's like, oh, hey, I just got another rejection. And he's just like, Linz, that's not your person. And he helped me through that too. And I knew that. And I had to come across as, again, trusting the universe that, okay, that's not my person. So something better is on the horizon. Because what I say often in the book is, what is meant for me won't pass me by. And what's good for me, I can't lose anything that's good for me. So I constantly have to keep that in mind. Even like today, every day, I just have to be like, okay, what's meant for me won't pass me by. Take a deep breath, calm down and enjoy life, because everything's going to work out exactly the way it should and how it's supposed to be. And you're exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment. So,
like this moment right here, chatting with you. Now, the thing you mentioned was, it sounds like the band, or at least Scooter, has been incredibly supportive throughout this 4-year journey that you've been, or probably longer than that, actually. But you know, the funny thing is, the way that you chat about it sounds like almost like just yesterday. How long does it take to become, you said, always be your authentic self? Maybe tell us a little bit about that. How did you know that you were in a space that was truly authentic? Is it something that you know that maybe you wean in and out of, like, ooh, I'm not being authentic right now? And how do you get yourself back if that's the case?
Okay, well, that's a good question. I think that it comes with happiness, like feeling good. Like I finally feel good and comfortable in my own skin, and I feel like I'm able to inspire people, and I want to inspire and love people, and I want to see a change. But you can only do that through loving, and change begins in your backyard. I'm a firm believer of that. And I get down and I have bad days and I lose my shit and I cry, and then I just get back up. It's like allow yourself and honor your feelings, allow yourself to go through those feelings, but don't stay in them. And I think that when you can speak honestly and truly, and it doesn't matter what people think of you because you're so in touch with yourself, that's authenticity, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Something you mentioned there was allow yourself to honor the feelings. And I think something that maybe or maybe not is an issue with modern society is, instead of looking at that feeling as a tool in our tool belt and saying, why am I feeling sad right now? Well, this is happening. Okay. And if there's something you can do about it, then great. And if there isn't, then, you know, as you said, honor that sadness or even that joy. Why am I feeling joy right now? Do you find that you're more in control of identifying? I've heard of emotions as clouds passing by in the sky. Do you feel that that is a relevant description?
Absolutely, yeah. And I refer to it more like, a river metaphor. Like it's just going to go down this little creek. You know, you go through the rocks or whatever. But I literally, this just happened yesterday. Okay, I had a plan and I was really excited about the plan, and it fell through completely. And I was hurt and I was bummed, and I'm in Indiana, and I'm like laying on the bed in my mom's guest room. And I was just, the sleep has been lacking because I've been traveling so much, and I've been with my daughter, and we've been up late. We've been, just traveling so much. So, I cried I just like had a little cry, and I was like, okay. And then I stopped myself and I was like, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. You're going to just manage your life. What's meant for you won't pass you by. It's not a big deal. The universe obviously doesn't want you doing what you wanted to do. Otherwise it would have worked out. And so that's like the kind of the attitude that you have to take when things don't work out the way they're supposed to. It's like, well, maybe I was saved by, from a car accident. Maybe the reason this isn't happening is I could have gone someplace and been exposed to this virus. I mean, I just have to keep in a positive mind frame. Like, I'm supposed to be here right now because I'm supposed to be here and not doing what I wanted to do, if that makes any sense at all. But I was bummed, but you have to, but it's a constant practice. I'm not perfect. I'm not happy all the time. And nobody should be.
Well, I think you brought up a good word there, is practice. It's not, I'm going to do something and the rest of my life is going to be different. It is, how are you going to practice this life, and what are you going to do to practice it, I believe.
Yeah, well, that goes through meditation. And I call it's pivoting. You just pivot your thoughts. So this is how I feel. I'm feeling shitty, but let's pivot it to make it positive. Okay, well, I'm okay. I'm healthy. I'm safe. I'm happy. I've got so much going on. It's a pivot of thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
The faster we can do that, the better our life is. It's just easy. It makes things easier.
Groovy. Now, something that you had touched on previously that I wanted to touch on again was just how supportive Scooter has been, and potentially the band as well. I'm just curious, what was that like for you? That you have your dream job, you're hanging out with these guys, you're writing music with them, and at the same time, here they are extending an empathetic, emotional hand to be able to support you through this.
I'm humbled on a daily basis and very grateful for the relationship that I have with the guys, especially Scooter. He's like one of my best friends in the world. I can't even imagine life with him not in it anymore, you know? And he's been 1,000% supportive, and he's watched me, you know, he watched me get out of this abusive relationship, and he hated it, but he couldn't say anything. He just watched me go through it, and he watched me pick myself up and be done. And he's, you know, has always been there. And I appreciate that about him. And he's like that with his fans, and he's like that with his friends. He's always there for people. And I'm just honored and blessed to be able to call him a friend.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Now, something that I picked up on, and I don't know why, maybe it's just my own mindset. And, you know, I think the interesting thing about Unfuckwithable is that you cover a lot of ground in the book that I think maybe some other publishers might have said, let's remove that section and write a different book entirely about that or whatever. And something that kind of jumped out at me was the work you get to do matters and that you are not your job. And two incredibly inspiring chapters, I think, especially for a lot of people who have become workaholics, to take away from their own spiritual experience. But I guess the interesting lead-in question that I have, and I'm just going to say it, and we'll see where this goes, Lindsay.
Okay.
Is how did those two chapters find their place in the book?
Well, because something that was really big to me and a monumental experience in my life was the breakup of Neon Love Life, which was, you know, the all-female band that I was in with my Girls Rock co-founders. And my entire life, I've wanted to play music and wanted to be on the road and just nonstop. I'm always go, go, go. Let's just get it done, get it recorded. Let's get it out. Let's hit the road. I don't care. But not everybody has that same kind of mindset as me. And so we're 2 years in. We had the #1 album in Indianapolis. We were one of the biggest bands. We got the cover of Nouveau, which was the alternative paper in Indianapolis. And we were just like going. We started playing in other states, and that broke up. But it mainly broke up because of my pushiness on getting things done, because not everybody wanted to do that. Everybody had different agendas, and I just was so selfish and focused on mine. But then in addition to that was defining who I was. So all of a sudden, I'm not the lead singer for this band that I allowed to take over my life, and that was my identity. And so I was just like in bed for days, like crying, like even asked my boyfriend at the time. I was like, do you even still want to see me anymore? Because I'm not this, you know? And he was like, of course. But like, that's how wrapped up I was. So that was a lesson I had to learn. And it was a very pivotal moment. Like, oh, I am not my job. Like, that is not who I am. I'm someone much more valuable than, you know, the lead singer of a band. So it was just hard. And that's why I wanted to share that. And I've worked at Walmart. I've worked at McDonald's. I've had these jobs, but I've always been pretty happy doing whatever it is I'm doing. So that's why I felt like they needed to be in the book.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the part where you had discussed, you're like, yeah, I've had these jobs and I found meaning in them.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of us just walk around and we're so unconscious. We're just like, I hate it. This is shitty, blah, 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 blah. But nobody even really does anything. So I just want people to love themselves enough to feel good and choose to feel good. So you can like have bad thoughts and just live in that shit. And it doesn't feel good. And I think that when people start to feel good and we can like raise the vibration of the universe, that's when beautiful things can happen and people can come together.
This is very true, Lindsay. This is very true. A lot of physical science has been conducted on those actual vibrations and words that have vibrations. And the highest one, I believe, is love, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And you've mentioned love a few times. And that actually brings me to my next question, Linzarama, Linzamillion. I feel like we're at that stage now in our relationship where I could call you Linzamillion. I definitely get from speaking with you and then, authentically as well in the book that you wrote, a lot of spiritual overtones. And I was curious if that is a precursor to the self-discovery that you went through or a result of your self-discovery.
Well, it helped me. Like the aspect of just knowing that the universe has a plan. Like I believe that we're spirits in a human experience, and we choose them from whatever past we went through, and that we're just here and there's different dimensions, and when we leave this physical plane, we're just gonna like bounce around the universe and whatever light beauty there is, and then just I'd like to do it again. Like, oh, okay, I need to experience this now for my evolution. I think it's a complete expansion of the universe, and that's how the universe expands. Now, I don't know. I don't remember ever having other lives, and I don't ever remember dying or being born. But that's just truly what I believe in. And it's not religious. It's completely opposite of, oh, Jesus died for our sins in this Christian home that I was raised in, where the only way to heaven is through trusting that Jesus is going to die for your sins. And I don't really buy that. I think that's such a small, I think that the universe can't be fit into a box,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I didn't bring up, I don't know how you want to put it, religiosity, religion, but rather referred to it as spirituality, because I know for a lot of people out there, they're seeking spirituality and are not able to find it, at least in the way that maybe they've experienced religion, which should be very true for a lot of people, and it sounds like it's something that's definitely true for you. But that's definitely very cool. Now, something else you had mentioned in the book was landing your dream job, which I imagine what you're referring to is playing the bass in Cold.
Right.
And kind of the interesting thing is that, especially lyrically, like the first time I ever saw Cold live, I remember, I don't even think I'd heard of them definitely before, but I saw them live years ago, and it was in Phoenix, Arizona at some festival that they have. I was down there for whatever reason, and I can't remember where I was at, but Cold came on, they took the stage, Scooter comes on, and he said, "We write about pain." And then they break into the first song on Year of the Spider, which I can't remember at the moment, and I was just floored. I was like, what is this? And I was just a fan ever since then. And, the funny thing is, looking at the lyrical content and everything, sometimes it's like, man, they really do write about pain. But it seems, as you're talking now and as you're chatting about Scooter, it's a cathartic, maybe, way of writing about pain, not just to live in it, but to express it and move through it. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, though. Tell us about landing your dream job. How did that come to be?
Well, it was one of those things where I was on the road. I was playing bass in a band called Picture Yes, and we had done an pretty extensive tour with Saving Abel. And someone took my photo and sent it to Scooter, and I was playing the bass. So it was just it was a social media thing, really. So like I got my dream job through Facebook.
It sounds like, oddly enough, I don't hear, this is probably the first time I've ever heard of a Facebook success story, to be perfectly honest.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to me how it worked. I mean, because my picture is in Year of the Spider. It's right next to Jeremy Marshall's. Like, I've got the spider tattoo and have had it since early 2000s, like 2001, I think, right after 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage came out. And so my photo that album went gold. So my photo has been hanging up on Scooter's wall since 2004, 2005. He didn't even know. Like when he hired me, he didn't even know that was me in the photo from years earlier. So it's crazy. Sometimes I pinch myself. I remember when I was in the studio, we recorded this album in Phoenix with Jeremy Parker, and I would go back to the house that we had rented, and sometimes I would cry out of just gratefulness and gratitude. And I'd just be like, I can't even believe this is happening. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. But yeah, so he sent me a tweet on October 14th, 2014. And he said, "Hey, Lindsay, check your other Facebook messages. I sent you a message." And I was like, okay. So I checked, and he sent me his phone number and said, "Give me a call." And I called him, and he was like, "This is going to sound crazy, but we're going to do another album. And we've parted ways with Jeremy, and we'd like to have you on board." And I was like, immediate yes. And then first person I called was my daughter's father, because he was with me back we're not together, but he was with me back when I got the cold tattoo, because he knew how much that band meant to me. And the first thing he said, instead of like, oh, well, what are we going to do about Bella? He was like, you said yes, right? And I was like, yes. He was like, awesome. We will work everything out. Congratulations. So it was just, I've had such mad support all around, especially like with my family and my daughter and her father.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if it's okay, bringing your role, I'm trying to think about how to phrase this, but I mean, just as a parent myself, we have such an important role to raise humans to become people of character. And I guess I'm curious with regard to your daughter, if you're okay with me asking about it. How is this entire self-discovery process? Has it changed her? Do you feel that she's going to become a person of greater character? Do you think she was always fine? How do you think your daughter's going through all this?
Well, my daughter she is such a special, caring, loving person. She's a straight A student. She's the captain of her dance team for color guard, because she does color guard. Her world's kind of been upside down. She should be in band camp, and this virus is really, like, the pandemic has really gotten everybody down, and we're not sending her back to school because it's absolutely insane. So she's got the choice to do online learning, and that's what she wants to do. And she's going to be a junior. She is kind to everyone. She's not cliquey. She's such a badass. She's so into Black Lives Matters and equality, and she's vocal about it, and it's beautiful. She's such a great kid. I mean, Jamie and I laugh about it a lot, because we'll be like, we were the most dysfunctional children, and all of our parents thought we were going to be fuck ups, and here we are. We've got like the best child of all of them.
Very, very cool stuff. Now, I guess my next question is, because you guys had released The Things We Can't Stop, it looks like at the end of 2019-ish or so.
September.
September, and then started the Broken Human tour. And I'm speculating 2020. You guys were like, we're gonna nail this, and then 2020 kind of nailed us on the other end of it. But
yeah. We were planning on being on the road we were going to be on the road this whole year. And what sucked about it is, like, literally 2 days before I'm supposed to get on a plane to go to Pennsylvania for rehearsals, 2 days before, boom, this happened. And Scooter had been like, calling me saying, okay, Linz, we're still kind of looking. I don't know what's going to happen yet, because nobody knew what was going to happen. And then just everything got shut down. It sucked. But everything for a reason, and that's how I have to think about it. And we're going to come right back out as soon as the venues start opening up, and as soon as people, we figure out what's going on, and less people are dying, then we're going to be back out, and we're going to just pick it up where we left off. But it fucking sucks.
Well, it's the things we can't stop, Lindsay.
It is. I know. It's so poetic. It's so stupidly poetic. But also with Unfuckwithable coming out, it makes sense in some weird, jokey, sinister way. I don't know.
Now, just because I have you here and I happen to be listening to Without You, and I just wanted to say that I love your bass sound, and I'm curious if you wouldn't mind going nerd for a second and taking us through your rig. And I mean, how did you generate the sound that we're hearing, or is that kind of more the producer's side of things?
No, I've got this badass preamp. It's from Glass Star Electronics, Dark Glass Electronics. So it's amazing. That's my sound, and my guitar tech was like, you got to get this pedal or this preamp. And so I played through an Ampeg for that, but I normally play Ashdown, but they didn't have a rack mount for my Ashdown that would fit. So I'm working with Mark Gaudet from Ashdown right now on getting a different setup for our next tour. And I play Fender. Most of the tour I played a P bass, and I just got a Mustang. But I also just got endorsed by Diamond Guitars, and they're creating 2 basses for me, and they're the Lindsay Manfredi series, and they're called the Hailfire and the Maverick, and I will have those soon. But there's the difference between those. We're going to have active pickups. We've got some Seymour Duncan active pickups for the beautiful guitars. But I've got like all the specs, and they've sent me photos, and they're almost done. I should have them hopefully by September.
Very cool stuff. We go on. I was going to ask, like, does the P bass have active pickups? Like, what was the decision to move over? Okay.
No, it doesn't. And well, we wanted it to be a little bit grittier, so that's why we're going with active pickups.
Okay. Very cool stuff. Well, Lindsay, this is absolutely incredible. I don't have any more questions for you off the top of my head, but if there's anything else that you wanted to bring up, please do. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to, tell people to get the book. Definitely keep getting the book. You can go to lindsaymanfredi.com, and if you click the book, it'll go to the shop that Trisha and I have. And then, the Things We Can't Stop is out, and download it, get it, buy it, come see us in 2021, because we miss all of your faces, all the things. And Nick has a new album out, or a new record, I think. So there's new Lifer music happening. So at least we're all doing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. Yeah, cool. Go ahead and hit stop, please, sweetie.